Today's video is about routing and navigation in Flutter, and if you find this video useful, support me by subscribing and liking the video so that I can create more videos like this. This is a very simple application. We have a app bar and in the body we have a text widget. To implement the navigation, let's create some screens. For that I'm going to create new folder name screens and add our first screen as home screen. This is going to be a stateless widget. I'll name it as home screen and let's import everything. And now from main.dart file I can cut this scaffold and add it to the home screen. Perfect. Let's rename this to home screen so that we can identify. And in the main.dart file now I can import this home screen. Great. Let's create another screen as second screen, and this is also going to be a stateless widget, so I'm going to reuse the same code from home screen. Let's rename it as second screen. Now let's rename the text as well as second screen so that we can identify it better. To implement the navigation, we need a button in home screen. Once user click on that button, we are navigating them to the second screen. So for that, I'm going to add elevated button, and in onPress method, we can navigate to the second screen. And let's name it as next. Great. Let's align this a bit. I'm going to align main axis, column center, and also row stretched. And let's add some padding now. So I'm going to add the padding horizontally so that it will be centered. Great. Let's align the text as well. Okay. Now in the onPress method, I'm going to use navigator of context. We have several methods, push, push named, and so on. Since we haven't defined any routes yet, I am going to use push. And in the push method, what it takes is a route, material page route. So I'm going to include that material page route here. And in the builder method, what it takes is the context and it returns the screen you want to navigate it to. So in this case, second screen. So this is called anonymous routing because we haven't defined any routes yet. We are calling it directly here. So to implement the routes now, in the material app, we have routes parameter. It takes map of values. The key will be the route name and the function, builder function that takes context and return the screen you want to navigate it to given the route name. So the first one will be the dash. Dash stands for the home or the root of the application. So now in the builder function, it returns the home screen. I am going to copy the same thing for the second screen as well. Let's define that as well. The route name will be the second and it's going to return the second screen. Great. Now it's going to give us an error. This is a very common error. What this error says is we have redundant route defined for the home of our application. In the home parameter we have home screen as well as in the routes table we have home screen in the root. So instead of home, what we can use is initial route. Here we can give the route as the root. Now as you can see here, we have all the routes name defined in main.dart file. Instead of that, what we can do is in home screen we can add a static variable to hold the page ID. So in this case, variable name is page ID, and I'm going to give the route name here, dash. Now in the main.dart file, instead of this dash, what I can use is that page ID, home screen.page ID. In the route table as well, I'm going to give that. And let's copy this page ID to the second screen as well. Let's rename it to second. Now I can use that page ID in the routes map. Now let's go to the home screen and change our navigation. Since we have defined all the routes now, what we can do is, instead of push method, what we can use is push named. What it takes is the route name. So here I want to navigate to second screen. So I am going to use second screen dot page ID. Let's test this out. It's working perfectly. Now imagine we got a requirement to add a title into our second screen. So I am going to create the variable to hold the title string, and I'm going to add that to our constructor. It's going to be mandatory field, so I'm adding required field. Now I am going to add this title to the text widget instead of that static value of second screen. When we do the navigation in the push name method, as you can see, we have route name as well as arguments object. We can pass any arguments here. Since we are taking a string as the title, what I'm going to do is provide a string as hello here. And in the second screen now, it expects us to give a string value for the title. As you can see, what we have to give is a constant value, but what we want to get is a dynamic value. So in a map literal, we can't provide any dynamic values. So instead of routes parameter, we have another parameter in material lab. It is called onGenerateRoute. This is a function. It takes a route setting as the input and it returns a dynamic route. Now let's create that function. So we are going to take this route settings, and in this settings parameter we have access to the route name as well as route arguments. So what we can do is use a switch and pass the route name into this, and we can handle all the routing here. And as for the arguments, I am going to create another variable to store that one as args. So this is going to have all the arguments. So let's handle all the cases. So we have home screen. So that will be home screen.page ID, and we are going to return a material page route. And in the builder method, we are going to give the context and return the home screen. Now we can same way handle the second screen as well. So let's give the second screen page ID, and we are going to return second screen here. And as for the title, now we can pass the args variable here. As the title, we are expecting a string. If you are pretty sure it's going to be a string and string only, I can do this as a string. But what I'm going to do now is handle that separately. So I'm going to check whether arguments is string. If that is, we can return the second screen. Now we have warning here because this switch case can return a null as well. Now we have home screen handle, second screen handle. Let's handle default case as well. And in the default case, if route name is not matching to any of the above cases, what I want to display is an error page. So let's create another screen as error screen. And this is also going to be a stateless widget. I'm going to copy the same code from previous screen. And let's rename this now. We can remove the page ID. We can rename it as error, and page name will be error screen. And let's rename the title to error as well here. Okay, it's looking good now. So what we can do now is, in the default case, when route name is not matching anything we have defined, we can return the error screen. For the error, we can pass it as invalid route. Now in the second screen as well, let's add this error screen if the pass argument is not an string. So we can give the message as invalid arg type. Now let's restart this one. Let's test this out. But we can't see any message in second screen. Even though we have passed hello, we can't see it yet. So we have routes defined as well as onGenerateRoute function. So in this case, what Flutter does is it checks for the given route name in the routes map. If that is there, it returns that. And it's not even checking in onGenerateRoute method. So what we can do is remove this routes map from here. So now it's working perfectly fine. Let me adjust the title to center as well. Okay, now it's looking good. Now we have all the routes defined in main.dart file. But let's take this out to another file. So I'm going to create another folder named service. Let's add another file as route service. So in this file, let's create a class named route service, and this is going to have a static method. It's going to return a dynamic route, and let's name it as generate route, and it's going to take route setting as the input. I'll explain why this is. If we go to the main.dart file on onGenerateRoute method, if you look at the signature, what it returns is dynamic route, the same signature we have in this static method. Let's cut this code from here to our new method. And now from here, what we can do is import the route service and call that static method generate route. Great. Now let's do all the imports here. And if we restart this one, if we click on next, it's working perfectly fine now. We are passing hello and it's displaying. Let's change this argument to hello dev heroes and let's see whether the change is appearing here. Okay, let's see whether it's working now. Click on next. Wonderful. We have hello dev heroes here. So this is basically all about routing in Flutter. We have initial route defined, and on onGenerateRoute method we have all the routes defined, and we have handled the default case and all the error cases as well. Okay, so we have talked about all the basics on routing today. And if you find this video useful, support me by subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.